find stuff on accident. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Look what that does.
Yeah, I mean, this app on my phone.
That's very cool.
That will live stream straight to the website. I totally stumbled across it.
That's awesome, though.
So,
that's very cool.
Yeah, it's fun. All right, if you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready when you are.
All right, we are rolling. We are rolling here at the 2017 REACH conference put on by the fine folks at the California Nevada Credit Union League.
Fine.
Yeah, they are fine.
They are fine folks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And look who walked into our studio lounge, the one and only Gigi Highland. How are you?
Thank you, Mike Lawson, the one and only Mike Lawson. I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, you've been super busy as you are usually at these conferences. How's the show going for you?
Show is going fabulous. It's so nice to see folks from California and Nevada and different vendors that we work with at the foundation. So it's great. It's a great conference to be at. And how can you argue with being in Palm Springs, California? It's fabulous.
Not too shabby.
It's all good.
Not too shabby. Yeah, I was just walking around outside, and it's like perfect outside, mid-70s, and just this is the time of year to come out here for sure.
Beautiful.
Indeed. All right, hey, let's talk about some other cool stuff you guys are doing.
Sure.
Financial health grants. What's the latest with there? First of all, what are they, or what do they consist of, and then their significance and all that good stuff?
Sure. So, the mission that the foundation has had now for about 4 years is to improve people's financial lives through credit unions. And as we've dug really deep into that, we've realized that credit unions do all of this great work around financial education, but they don't really have a way to measure, are you making an impact in a member's life and taking him or her from point A, where they might be, and that could be an unsustainable debt load or a bad credit score, to a better place where that member wants to be financially, to really achieve that member's financial goals.
Right.
So we've been on this journey, and it's definitely a journey, we're not through yet, to this year try to find and test a couple of different ways to measure member financial health. One of the ways is we partnered with the California Nevada League and Balance, and we had 16 credit unions actually use a very technical term, a mashup of a survey.
Careful.
Yeah, I know, there you go, mashup of a survey that the CFPB has done and the University of Wisconsin has done around financial health. And those credit unions sent that survey out, and we got not a great response rate, about 2,500 people responding, but what it did show is that it tracked the national data that people are really pretty financially fragile. We had over 50% of the folks say, it's really hard for me to make ends meet and to make the money last week over week, month over month, year over year. And that confirms what we've heard at the federal level. The second effort is we granted money to 6 credit unions, and we're working with the Center for Financial Services Innovation, CFSI, known by their acronym, CFSI, to do the same thing but use a different tool. And all of that is back, all of those results are back in the aggregate, and it's showing the same thing, that about half of credit union members and employees are really struggling financially. They either have too much debt, or they don't have an emergency savings account, and they just are wrestling to get to a place where they feel stability. If you ask most people what they want, they don't want necessarily more money, they want financial stability, to be able to breathe and to again, week by week, feel good that they can make it through the week and put food on the table or pay for their electrical bill or whatever, the very simple things in life. So we're really excited by this work because it's a beginning step in helping credit unions say, here's where our members actually are financially, and now let's dive into the data that we have within the credit union about these members, connect the dots, and then really look at products and services that can meet those particular financial needs, particularly around planning, saving, spending, and borrowing. The four foundational pieces around people's financial health. So we're excited. It's the beginning. It's what I say, actually the first brick on the yellow brick road. But we're starting to travel down this path, and we have a lot of collaborators and partners, including the California Nevada League, that we're very grateful for in Balance, as we move forward and try to help credit unions in this arena.
What's the timetable on this? Because this is an issue that's plagued our country for a very long time.
Right.
But it's really cool that credit unions are really kind of taking the tip of the arrowhead and moving, or taking the ball, a football analogy, and running with it. It's really cool stuff.
Very much. And credit unions have really run with this ball for a long time, but in financial education. And the real question is, how do you show the impact of that? And how do you How do you show the impact in a way that you can link it to the advocacy work that you do? How do you tell your elected officials, we do financial education, and this is the difference it makes in our community, to our members, to our community, and we're really kind of raising the financial health of everybody within our community. How do you do that from a data perspective? Stories are great. People always love stories, but it's also the data that backs that up, and that's what we're working on, is to combine those things in something that's very compelling from an advocacy perspective, and for credit unions to be able to say to their members, we care about you. We're your trusted financial partner in this, and we want you to be financially stable and financially healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a value enhancer to me.
It is.
It's like if they're going to be able to step up, and I mean, it's one thing to take transactions and loans and things like that, but to actually help somebody get out of debt and get them on solid financial foundation, oh my gosh.
That's it.
That's
and
huge value.
And it's kind of a bizarre analogy, but what I've been telling credit unions and our partners is, you think of people's love of everything craft these days, so craft beer, craft food, artisanal, whatever it is. I mean, think about what credit unions do, and it really is craft, and people love that. People want to go to a place where they walk in the door, whoever they're dealing with knows what they are going through and can help them with that. And there's a lot of value that credit unions bring, because that's who credit unions are. And so how do you really enhance that value just by knowing where Gigi Highland member is financially and being able to help her on her road?
Oh man, it's such a good message. Wow, I can't wait to hear more about that.
Yeah, and it's, there is no end date to answer your question. Let's say this is going to be a journey that we go through. So next year, as we look at, as the foundation looks at grants and our programmatic work, it's going to continue to focus on financial well-being, and we're trying to figure out what's the right thing that credit unions need to take them to the next step. So all good. Yeah.
Anxious to hear more about that. Very cool stuff.
Thanks for asking.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And the next topic at hand here, CU8 update. You guys have been busy beyond belief with these unprecedented events that have happened in the last few months, in Puerto Rico, Florida, Texas, California.
Just north
What's the latest
of us. Yeah. So, first of all, we are so incredibly honored to be the point entity for disaster relief in the credit union system. It's a unique place to be in that it really is living, breathing example of Principle 6 of cooperation amongst cooperatives. So, as you know, we have the CUA.coop website, and through that we raise money for all of the disasters that currently have happened. Some of the disasters, so Harvey and Irma, had specific funds that we opened up for that relief, and then with the California wildfires and with Puerto Rico, I have to say it because I'm Puerto Rican, so I have to say it the right way. Puerto Rico, we asked people to contribute to the General Disaster Relief Fund so that we could have more flexibility to be responsive of where the need is. And so it's going great. We have about $2.5 million total that's been raised for all 4 of those disasters. You can still contribute.
Yes,
there is still
do.
Need, so please contribute to the General Disaster Relief Fund. And we're working really collaboratively with the 4 leagues/state foundations that are working on this, so that we can have conversations about where the need is and be able to distribute the money where the need is. So there's a lot of conversation going on to make sure that we're as responsive as we can be. I hate to say there's only so much we can do, but there is only so much we can do, and we try to do the best that we can to make sure it's responsive, particularly to people's critical needs. So when they've lost everything, their house, their clothes, the food in the refrigerator, how do we make sure that they have those basic needs to be able to move forward to how do I rebuild, how do I get another car, how do I do all of those things?
How do I get water?
How do I get water, food, How do I get to work? You may not be able to get to work, and how do we find a way to get you to work?
So this is kind of personal for you.
It is,
especially on the Puerto Rico connection.
On Puerto Rico, it is. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I only have one cousin left in Puerto Rico, who's in Mayagüez, which is on the western part of the island. But it's still, the part that was hit is where my family is from, and so it's just it sounds so ridiculous to say, but it really does hit home. No pun intended. But you really understand how people go through this, and how I think it's long lived. You and I were talking this before you pushed on. We're so rapid in terms of our news that one thing happens and then we forget about it and then we move on to the next set of news. And for people who have suffered disasters, and this is a long process for recovery, and we can't forget that. So even if CU8 starts to sort of fade from people's memories, I'd ask them to keep checking in with us, because the more money we can raise, the more we can help credit union people build their lives to help members. And that's what this is all about, is to make sure that they feel comfortable, that they can go out there and they can help members. So, yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we just had the folks from Credit Unions for Kids on, and credit unions are just phenomenal in stepping up and donating to these children's hospitals nationwide. Credit unions can do the same thing in disasters,
and they do,
and they do,
you know, and they do. And I think, you know, we hear stories about credit union employees, and there's one story that strikes me from Houston is a lady had to, you know, abandon her home because the floodwaters were coming in and Harvey was coming. And the thing she took was her work laptop so she could do the work that she needed for members wherever she happened to be able to hook up. I mean, I know credit union employees are so incredibly devoted to serving members, even in disaster, and that's our job, is to get them to a place where personally they're okay, so they can go back to work and can do that because they want to, and they, you know, they feel it's so important to do for members.
And it's infectious in a good way.
It is, in a very good way.
It's like, gosh, I can do more as well.
In a very good way.
Yeah.
So we're honored to do that, and you know, like I said, just keep giving, please.
Indeed, yeah. You guys have done such a stellar job.
Thank
it's just
you.
amazing,
We appreciate that.
You guys are awesome. All right.
Thank you.
Let's switch gears to the Herb Wegner Memorial Awards.
The foundation dinner presenting the Herb Wegner
Oh
Memorial.
my gosh, I'm so
okay.
sorry, Gigi.
It's all right.
Oh,
yeah, no, it's all good.
Again.
It is. We are again. You did not mess up. Again. This is something. So a couple of things on this one. I mean, this is a great. Big deal. This is a big honking deal.
It's going to be here
when I use the word
it.
honking, it is going to be here before you know it. And it's the Academy Awards for credit unions. I mean, we honor people who have done stellar things that really live and breathe the cooperative principles and live the idea of people helping people. And so we're so proud to be able to honor 4 individuals this year who have done very different things in their careers, but have made such a difference in their careers. And the names are familiar, I think, to most people. Maybe one name isn't familiar, but so Bill Hampel is being honored.
Very familiar.
And Sue Mitchell.
Very familiar.
Yep, and Chuck Purvis.
Very familiar.
There you go. And then Angel Castro, who has worked with the World Council of Credit Unions, who people might not be as familiar with, but has done phenomenal work. And so we're so honored to do that. And for us, you know, I wouldn't be a good fundraiser if I didn't say this publicly. This is our major fundraising event. So please support us. Please buy sponsorships. You know, it's a big deal for us because the money we raise at this event helps fund all of the work that we just talked about, particularly the work around the programs and the administrative work that we do around CUAID. We didn't say this for CUAID, but all the money that we raise goes to those credit union employees.
Really?
We don't take an administrative fee. We don't take a cut. So anything that's paid as part of, you know, credit card swipe fees or anything else, online processing, all of that we absorb because that's our contribution to give back. So the foundation dinner is a major fundraiser for us to make sure that we can continue to do the work that we do.
Yeah, and last year was my first year going, and this is an event. You guys,
thank you,
to the nines, or whatever the terminology is, you guys do a amazing job.
Thank you so much. Well, we appreciate you being there to interview
awesome.
people attending.
The red carpet.
It was very fun. It was very fun. It was such a nice addition. People really love talking with you and really talking about why the event is important. And so many people, most people walk away from that event and they're so inspired. They're like, okay, I feel like, I know I always feel like, okay, I have done nothing in life compared to these awardees and I've got a lot of work to do. So it's really nice to have that inspiration, have that kind of shot in the arm during GAC to go back and really continue to do good
That's
work.
actually really good timing that you do that because everyone's there and the videos you guys produce. Oh my gosh. I mean, you're laughing, you're crying, you're emotional. Oh my gosh.
We work it. We try to work
really
it.
Well.
So,
all right, Gigi, I know you got lots to do here. Thank you so much as always for stopping by. You guys are doing great work.
It's always great to talk to you. So thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Good.
Anytime. Good job. Gigi,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Gigi Highland.
Take care.
Awesome. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks.
Excellent.
Good stuff. Thank you.